A terrific crowd on hand tonight as these two teams will play this year and next year. Yeah, they're trying to decide who is the real USC. Is it South Carolina? Is it Southern California? Two tremendous college powers. And the Gamecocks control one of the top shooting teams in the nation, but facing certainly their best competition yet early on this year. Here is Latson, the transfer from Florida State. Edwards has looked so poised and under control early on this year. She came off the bench last year and was the Gamecocks' leading scorer. Shot clock now approaching 5. Hang, rhythm off the glass. Raven Johnson. We talked about the new players. She's a fifth-year senior.
She has been here. She has done that, and that's one of her biggest strengths, her ability to turn the corner, get downhill, and go right to the basket. And that's where Carolina really opens up the game.
A nice pass. Davidson can't keep her feet. She touched it last. And it's Gamecocks ball. Well, number 2, South Carolina, led by Dawn Staley. Her 18th season, 3 national titles for South Carolina. She's taken them to each of the last 5 Final Fours. Remarkable.
We could talk through this whole broadcast about her resume, what she's done, what she's accomplished, not only as a coach, as a player, but this is a fun challenge for her too, seeing so many new players and maybe a little bit of different playing style.
Got away from the ball. On the other side, Lindsey Gottlieb has made it very vocal, very public. She wants to make this program, the Women of Troy, the premier program in college basketball. She has helped to lead them to back-to-back Elite Eights, and USC very much on their way.
Well, and you've just seen how things have developed and evolved over the course of the last 5 seasons, in particular the names, the talent that she's brought here.
A spin cycle from Edwards, but can't finish near the rim. She regains. Johnson. And with the touch.
And that's a part of her game that she's continued to work on. I said it earlier, South Carolina, they have been shooting so efficiently, both from the field and from 3 at the early part of this season.
Here's Kara Dunn. 3 great years at Georgia Tech. Jazzy with the left hand, rings out.
And they're going to put a lot of pressure on Jazzy Davidson. She had tremendous finish in that win at NC State. What she did in the second half, the close of the game as a freshman, part of how South Carolina will look to defend her is that physicality. That's how they bring it across the board, 1-3-5.
Edwards drives, pulls up, air ball. Trojans in transition. The reverse hang and fade. Kennedy Smith, who's been a tremendous defender early on this year, but has struggled to kind of gain some offensive rhythm. A good start for her.
And part of that rhythm comes from getting a stop, being able to get into some early offense. We saw that there with USC.
Tessa Johnson, foul.
Tessa Johnson, great offseason, great summer. She's added even more muscle. You see it in her ability to embrace some of that contact, how she gets downhill. We know how smooth she is in the mid-range game.
Well, this is big for the Women of Troy. That's the 2nd foul already on Jazzy Davidson, so she heads to the bench. London Jones, the UCLA transfer, takes her spot.
And that's a part of the balance, and I think even too, not just for Jazzy Davidson, but for freshmen in general. You talk about the level of physicality, the speed of the game, what you can get away with, how you're trying to impose that type of will and force, but also do so in a way that you're keeping it clean. You know, the value that she has brought to this group and the need for her to be on the floor.
Now, Tessa Johnson has put on 10 pounds of muscle this offseason. She's a junior first-year starter and has gotten off to a blazing start to begin this year.
Well, and I think that's a part of it when you look at new pieces. Yes, there's transfers, but also players who have been in these programs with added responsibility now or different roles that they have been given and expected.
Jones, who last year hit 5 triples against the Gamecocks as a member of the Bruins.
Yeah, a little different seeing her in this USC uniform as opposed to the UCLA gear.
Kennedy Smith misses, and here comes Latson. Latson pushing with the left hand and can't finish it at the rim. There's Shatite, who's got some size for USC. Now ball is lost, regained. That's Edwards who hit the deck. Entry pass down low and through. Now the size of Code at 6'6", the senior out of Kenya.
And that's a great read by Latson.
Fading front iron, short Kennedy Smith.
Carolina wants to run, and you'll see that off of stops, how much they look to push, just get a comfort in transition.
Johnson slowing it down a little bit. Latson to the rim. Loose ball and a scramble for it. And it's picked up by Malia Samuels. Samuels, a junior, first-year starter in transition. Jones, mid-range. That's not a three, but it counts. It's off to a good start.
Nice soft touch and just finding those spots within the pockets of the defense. And that's what USC needs to do against South Carolina because they have so much length and so much size, pressure on the perimeter.
Edwards faces up. 360 spin and an open look.
Man, that's a tough move by Joyce Edwards. Everyone is spread out. You got the defense attached to shooters. And Joyce Edwards, a sophomore, just picks up where she's left off at the start of the season. Everyone's getting in on the action here. Beautiful pass by Latson to Cott. She does a great job getting to the basket, and then Joyce Edwards with a smooth lead now in her 5th year at USC. The enthusiasm, the excitement. This is a great crowd on hand, and they've continued to pack the Galen Center as well when they play there.
Gottlieb has revived this program in Southern California. A good block from behind. Joyce Edwards right there. The trailer. That's to Johnson. That cannot be held onto by Edwards. Another scrum. Edwards comes up with it. Latson circles around, hangs, and has the touch.
And it started with that block at the other end. Early sample size, first 3 games with South Carolina averaging 9 blocks per game, allows them to get out and go, and you just see it in how connected they are at this end.
Now Kara Dunn, her first bucket.
And I say that, and Kara Dunn steps right in, knocks down a 3-point shot. Those are the things Gottlieb has talked about, just finding where shots are coming from, the good shot selection, how that will help them catch a rhythm on the offensive side and improve that efficiency that they've seen early on.
Well, especially with the size disadvantage for the Trojans, they have to start making some shots like that, don't they? Tessa Johnson can't finish that one.
Absolutely. And just in keeping the defense honest as well, because they got players that can get downhill, but you see the size, how the South Carolina defense wants to extend you.
On the Jones short iron. Entry pass, they feed Edwards. And she has it roll in. 4 points early for Joyce Edwards.
And that just feels too easy. A great job by Edwards in her command and the presence inside. The pass by Tessa Johnson, but overall, just the ease of the position makes it too close.
10 of the 15 coming in the paint for South Carolina. Spin, strip, and a foul. That was Iwuchukwu who was going up with it.
Joyce Edwards, she has been a block machine here early on in the season. So far in her career, it led to this basket. Nice job by Latson, just working the inside. Nice soft touch. We see good passing there early on. And that's for as much as we're talking about both these teams, you know, defense and offense always go hand in hand. So the tempo you want to play at, how you want to push, the stress that it puts on you. And got a birthday girl at the line, Vivian Iwuchukwu.
20 years old today.
I always feel like you have good games on your birthday. You got a little something, a little magic, a little something special in you.
Her brother Vincent used to play on the men's team, now over at Georgetown. Spent some time at St. John's before that.
So a zone look here from USC.
In the corner, Raven Johnson, that's her second triple already.
And that's big for Raven Johnson. She shot the 3 well here at the early part of the season.
Turnover. That's picked off by Johnson. Into the corner, the freshman, Got McKeer out of Ontario. This is her first shot tonight. Dunn hanging and off the glass.
And what a tough shot by Dunn. You got two players that are riding on her, one in front, one on her hip, the collapse, but she's got size and a good strength to finish through.
Oh, an easy make there, but it's missed by Tessa Johnson. In transition at the rim, and Iwuchukwu.
What a run, what a dive. Good recognition, and for South Carolina, transition defense got to be a little bit tighter there off of that possession because they had bodies and traffic, just allowed that pass to get through nicely.
They did a 6-point game as Edwards pulls up. Here comes Kennedy Smith. From the elbow, the feed, Iwuchukwu fouled, counted and one.
USC is starting to roll. They're getting some stops, and they've been able to get out and look for early offense. What a play and pass here by Jones on the inside. Smooth move by Iwuchukwu on the finish, and then this time forcing a mismatch off of the switch, which is something that South Carolina will do in the pick and roll plays, taking advantage. We talked a lot about size, but when you're able to work those ball screens and you get a smaller player, beautiful slip there by Iwuchukwu. I'm telling you, birthday girl, keep an eye out.
Well, as soon as you said it, a couple of buckets. It's a 6-0 run for Southern Cal. Here, kicks out. Johnson. Samuels to the basket. Jazzy Davidson is checked back in. Offensive rebound. Dunn can't put it through. She's slow to get up. Edwards helping her up. The crowd wanted to travel there on Johnson after a cold start.
Officials are letting it play. There's a lot of contact around the rim on a handful of these drives.
Baseline kick out. And a whistle down to the baseline.
And so you mentioned it earlier, Jazzy Davidson, the highly touted freshman, #1 recruit in the country, has come in. She's had a strong start here for USC. Big finish, helping to close out that game last Sunday at NC State. 21 points. She had the go-ahead layup with just under 10 seconds left, and wasn't just about scoring those 21 points. In fact, in that second half, just a huge burst.
Right there at the rim, Kara Dunn. She's got 7 early. Alan McDowell has checked in, the freshman out of Cypress, Texas, for the Gamecocks. Johnson with the feed to Edwards. Under the rim with the touch.
Soft touch. And that's where Joyce Edwards, she's got such a creativity around the basket and how she's able to get off her shots with that size.
Davidson puts it on the deck. Misses. Here comes McKeer.
South Carolina's had some really strong contests on a couple of these looks by Davidson.
Tessa Johnson trying to find her rhythm here in the first quarter. Under a minute to play. Under 10 to shoot now for Edwards. Too strong.
And if you're USC, you feel pretty good about those mid-range looks that are contested by South Carolina.
Just about a second differential. 360, and Davidson loses her foot. It's the second time she's been tripped up a little bit in the paint.
And you can see a little bit of frustration there. This is some good defense. Loses her footing because you got multiple bodies and traffic showing in front of her. And here, another pick and roll play. What a beauty. Johnson getting it to Edwards. Good finish underneath the basket. And for as much as we're talking about new faces, new players, between Tessa Johnson and Joyce Edwards, they have got a chemistry, connectivity from last year. Both of them have elevated roles now this season with this group, but part of the core that's come through and has some knowledge here about how this team wants to play.
Full court pickup here on Tessa Johnson. Now under 10 to play in the first quarter. A coach. Short. Gets her miss. And misses again, and that's how the first quarter comes to an end. 2016, number 2, South Carolina, leading number 8, Southern California. Pretty fun first half.
Fun first half. We got some good baskets, some flash here in Los Angeles at Crypto.com Arena. Early lead here for the visitors in South Carolina.
It's there with the hoodie on. She would have been back as a returning starter, but a torn ACL. So some injury hitting both these sides.
Tough loss, but great to see how she's been progressing. It's been about a month, but what a huge part of this program and this team. And you feel for her too, just having to watch.
Davidson held scoreless in that first quarter. Samuels reverses, fades, and can't finish. Johnson, the fifth-year senior, part of that undefeated team. 38-0. That's a wide open look underneath by the freshman from Ontario. It got McKeer.
McKeer, she's got some explosiveness. Look how she cut through the defense. Felt like a little bit of a breakdown of who was picking up the ball, but she found that seam.
Last touch by the Gamecocks. Well, South Carolina got off to a blazing start offensively. They hit 7 of their first 12. They went 1 for 9 after that until that made from McKeer.
And it felt like USC settled in a little bit, both on the defensive side and their ability to challenge more, but also offensively, finding their rhythm, getting some good shots. And they felt like they have controlled more of the tempo of how they've wanted this game to go here in the latter stages.
Dunn pulls up a deep 2 and misses. McDowell lets it fly. Offensive rebound underneath. Left hand and a good touch. Miriam Dowda.
And Dowda has inside position off that play. As a beautiful job by her to work on the inside. Rebounding is going to be a huge factor here.
Jones hits. She's averaging almost 18 off the bench.
She's been awesome. You want to talk about that win at North Carolina State and what happened down the final stretch. She had a big shot, and she's just been a steady force.
McKeer contested. Davidson now pushing. Davidson to the rim, and her first bucket tonight.
That's tough. There's a reason why there's so much optimism about the players she could become. 6'1", her explosiveness. We don't talk about tight handles and how she's able to get up the floor.
Well, not just the points, right? A complete player.
Yeah,
She really stuffs the stat sheet.
everything.
McKeer and a travel.
Jazzy Davidson from Clackamas, Oregon, and look at her here on the go. She's got a burst, a speed, the quickness, and just blows right past the defense off the possession. Obviously, you look at the corner, and Johnson's attached to the shooter there, but it gives her a little bit of a lane. And look here so far this season, obviously early on, just 2 games, but you had mentioned that the completeness of her game, how she can rebound, the way in which she organizes the floor.
And a 4-time high school Gatorade Player of the Year in Oregon. 3 ball, too strong. A coach kind of bullying her way through traffic and travels. Travel on the Gamecocks.
Gerda Raula Shatite did a great job just holding her ground, staying in front. I think Dawn Staley's asking, what happened off that possession if she was moving her feet. But overall, that's going to be a part of it for USC. Again, they've slowed things down. Dawn Staley has wanted this group based on the personnel to run more, to play more at tempo, to get up and down. And so far, it's felt like more of a half-court game predicated by how the Trojans have played.
Smith from the elbow. Well, Shatite, the offensive rebound, bottles the miss and foul. Greta Real Shatite starting her 2nd straight game.
And take a look right here, just flies on in off of the switch once again and stays with the plays, got inside position. You got 2 Gamecocks that collapse on her, which draws the foul. And she's, again, another impressive player to continue to watch with her experience that she's had internationally. She played in the Lithuanian Women's League. She was their MVP. She's a member of the Lithuania national team and competed at multiple levels of the group. So she's come in and just A player who feels like she's got that type of presence and poise regardless of where she's at on the floor.
Yeah, first year in the program. And she was kind enough to carve out some time for us after shoot around today. And
she's going to test you. She's going to hear how you pronounced her name for us, and we're trying to get them accustomed to it.
We broke it down syllable by syllable for her. She was almost late to the bus.
I don't blame you.
There's no doubt.
Better say it right.
McKeer pulls up. Offensive rebound, Edwards. Lost it. And the other way.
And if you're South Carolina, still that possession, you feel good about the process. That's a really nice pull-up jumper there by McKeer, what she was able to get. Edwards doesn't have a grab of the ball, but has got some inside position, possibly could have come up with that for a putback.
Too many turnovers recently for the Gamecocks as Davidson fades away. McKeer with the rebound. Scoring drought of over 2 minutes for South Carolina. A coat to the wing, and Johnson, and an offensive foul, and once again an empty possession.
In one in which USC did a good job of staying in front, and you saw the just passing around the outsides, and that's where for South Carolina, just trying to find that organization of where shots are coming from and how they're able to penetrate to get to the teeth of the defense.
Jones, baseline from the corner, no good. Too strong that time from Mendez. You're looking down low, trying to find Edwards. And Tessa Johnson's been so good this year, averaging 15. Quiet so far in the first half, however. Under 10 to shoot. Johnson pulls up from the elbow. Offensive follow, and a much-needed bucket for South Carolina. There was a coat. After 4 recent turnovers, the Gamecocks find the bottom of the net.
And what you got to try to eliminate from them is those easy baskets. Second chance points, points off turnovers.
McKeer left open for 3. Samuels pushing. Gets it ahead. Mendez. And she stopped in her track by Edwards. Underneath with one hand. What a beautiful finish. Malia Samuels, the junior.
Add a little sauce off that possession. Nice job driving baseline to get herself away from the defense and just smooth on the finish.
(26-24) in the latest points.
Oh, Malia Samuels, look at here on the move, does a great job. The junior just finishing with the left, has got some space underneath. McKeer's late getting to her, and she's not always putting up a ton of points on the stat sheet, but she understands the rhythms of how to play, where to be in the right space, and it's done a nice job so far for this USC group.
26-24 game. Well, we welcome you back to the Sprouts Farmers Market, the Real SC, a top 10 matchup. Glad to have you here in downtown Los Angeles. Shooting-wise, both teams about even right now. Points in the paint pretty close also. Gamecocks controlling the rebound margin by 5. Aaron Goldsmith, Sarah Kustok. Glad to have you courtside here tonight for a couple of real powers in the women's game. And it looked like early on South Carolina was pulling away from this one, but then all of a sudden the women of Troy came back and they made this very close.
Well, South Carolina did a great job doing what they do best. They're tough on defense, very efficient on the offensive side. They were making shots. USC settled in, though, and started with the toughness of their defense and forcing some more contested looks for South Carolina, but also offensively. They've gotten a rhythm, and there's been some special looks here that we've seen from a handful of these players, especially in transition.
Raven Johnson has been the leading scorer for the Gamecocks so far here in the first half. The experienced guard out of Atlanta, fifth-year senior, the only healthy returning starter for South Carolina, and she's been fantastic so far.
She set the tone early, and you're seeing it right here with the shot she's made. It started with pulling out the defense with some three-point makes. That's a part of her game that she's really continued to improve upon, and has shot the ball well from deep early on in the season, but she can attack the basket. She really loosens up the defense. That's a big part of what they're going to need. Dawn Staley has got a lot of new faces here in this South Carolina group, and she is a part of the core, the only returning starter from last year's run.
Well, on the other side, Jazzy Davidson, the freshman out of Clackamas, Oregon, the reigning Big Ten Freshman of the Week, the top recruit in the nation. Did not have a strong first half. In fact, got into immediate foul trouble, 2 fouls early, and Jazzy had to go to the bench. She's found the bottom of the net a couple of times now, or once I should say, has 2 fouls on her, but we have seen she has been so impactful early on this season, not just the points, but the overall production as well.
Overall production and just getting her feel. She's had a really smooth transition, seemingly so, of how she's acclimated herself to the game. You see it in the numbers right there, but even you look at the first couple games that USC has played, she's had slower starts in the first half. The game at NC State where she was huge, the game-winning layup, her ability to put up big points, a big part of that was in the second half, and I think for a Dawn Staley-led group in South Carolina, they're going to come at you. They're going to be physical. They're going to get into bodies. They're going to put pressure on you, and that's especially what they did with Davidson early on here in this one.
You know, Staley very candid, talking about how this group is kind of trying to find their way together. Both these coaches early on this season are waiting for their teams to fully gel, and both with very challenging schedules in many ways the first month or so of the regular season. Latson back on the floor, and a foul. We'll send this back to the Trojans. Speaking of, Lindsey Gottlieb, her 5th season here in Los Angeles, and has brought this program back to life.
Yeah, I mean, it's been tremendous to watch. You said in her 5th season, you see it in so many ways, both the success on the floor, the crowds, the attendance, the enthusiasm, the type of players that she has brought in, and there's a reason why they're on this stage.
Deep 2 pull-up, and Johnson will stay on this end.
And I think that's for Lindsey Gottlieb, too, and just the fun challenge for USC this season. Unfortunately, of course, is you hate to see Juju Watkins not be able to play after tearing her ACL during the postseason last year, but they still have such a high level of expectation.
We got a wedgie in the first half. Well,
you get enthused. I know there's many play-by-play individuals that get very, very excited about
the
wedges.
I might have tried to subdue my excitement a little bit there.
I did, yeah. As a former shooter, I don't know if I'd still call myself a shooter. Definitely, I do not like those. I'm always like, oh man. I also couldn't jump very much to get to pop it out.
Latson tries to pull up, but done right there in her face. And for those of you who were with us at the start of this game on FS2, we suggest you go to your local Fox station for the rest of this game now. Close one, 2-point game under 4 minutes to play in the first half. The coach. And another travel. What's that, the 3rd now on South Carolina?
Which, that's been a big adjustment we've seen from USC early in this game of understanding South Carolina did such a good job pounding the post. You see the frustration of Dawn Staley. They're showing bodies, they're showing traffic, and they're putting up a wall where it's been difficult. And there's been a handful of travels on the inside because of it.
London Jones through traffic. Johnson pushing. Edwards gets doubled. Latson, 4-3. Looked like it could have been another travel. It wasn't called. Tessa Johnson misfires. And where will this go? The other way.
And that's been a big shift here tonight between Raven Johnson, Tessa Johnson, Tanaya Lanson. They've combined to shoot over 48% from deep at the early part of the season, and it's just not been hitting in the same way here tonight. And sometimes when you're missing those three-point shots, that's what's allowed USC to show a little more bodies, traffic, and clogging up the paint.
South Carolina's been one of the best shooting teams in the nation so far through 3 games. That's by far their stiffest competition yet this year. A good feed underneath and a finish at the rim. Laura Williams.
And
First year on the floor for the
once
Trojans.
again, we see Jones with those passes, getting it behind the defense. What a good connection once again off these screen and roll actions. Look, it almost felt like there was some confusion whether you're switching or not, because a coach stays up and it allows for that slip to get behind by USC.
Tessa Johnson fades. Offensive rebound can't be put through by a coach. And Trojans have a chance to take the lead here. Smith, the pass, and the rejection by Edwards.
It was some big-time blocks because that was the same exact play, possession, pick and roll in the middle of the floor.
Edwards is fouled on a prayer.
South Carolina averaging 9 blocks per game in this early part of the season, and once again, it's Joyce Edwards coming from behind. Not just her, Raven Johnson then coming after it after getting botched up. It very well could have been another layup there off the pick and roll and the switch for USC, and instead, nice presence in protecting the rim.
Edwards gets the first. Well, last year, Joyce Edwards was the first off the bench, yet was the Gamecocks' leading scorer. She averaged about 13 a game. Short on the second. Under 2 minutes to play in the first half. Trojans a chance to take the lead. It opens up for Samuels. Trojans on top for the first time.
Samuels loving that lefty scoop. We see it again this time. Turns the corner.
Under 90 seconds to play in the first half now. A coat off the window. Seven points for Dunn here in the first half. The kick out. Samuels baseline. Those fall earlier. Under a minute now. Johnson cut off by Dunn. Edwards will shoot 2.
USC takes their first lead of the game. Just good penetration, kick out, and once again, Malia Samuels got the gear, stop and go play, finishes on the left side. But an answer by the Gamecocks at the other end. Just beautiful entry pass, working the post, good patience, poise, and you probably need to see more of that from South Carolina, just utilizing that size and playing with the back to the basket.
And points in the paint almost even. Gamecocks have just a 2-point advantage there. That surprised you?
A little bit, but I think part of that has been how USC has gotten themselves to the basket. They have not shot the 3 all that well in that efficiently, but they're finding their seams. That pick and roll too, they're exploiting how South Carolina is switching off of that and doing a really good job with the pocket passing and just using the inside lanes to find some of those layups.
Edwards gets the second. 2-point lead for number 2 team in the country in South Carolina. Under a minute to play in the first half. Pull deep 2. Tessa Johnson gets the board after the miss from Jones. Timeout called by Don Staley. We'll step aside. Final seconds of the first half when you come back. Point game with just about 30 seconds to play in the first half. South Carolina leading. Well, who is the real SC? These two programs founded around the same time. South Carolina, a better winning percentage, about even in terms of their tournament berths and national titles. Prominence certainly in recent years has been more on the side of the Gamecocks. Women of Troy rebuilding this program back to a national power. A coach. Johnson. Loose ball. Shot clock is off. Under 10 to play now. Last possession for the number 2 team of the country. Tessa Johnson hits the deck. Foul.
Strong drive by Tessa Johnson off that possession. We've talked a lot about her, the work she's put in this summer, adding to that strength and continuing to work on scoring at all 3 levels, the completeness of her game, what she could bring to the table. You see the points, the rebounds, the assists this year. Just a junior, but she's shot the ball really well from 3. That was a huge part of her game coming in when she got to college, of how effective and efficient she was from 3, but especially this season too. Just her usage rate is up, how she's been sharing, facilitating the ball, and that's a big part of what's going to be needed and expected from her.
Well, Don Staley told us today that Tessa should be shooting more shots.
I think there was an interview and Tessa's like, I'm not worried about my scoring, and Coach Staley's like, I want you to. You should be.
And she gets both. All 4 points for Tessa Johnson in the first half would come from the line. Under 6 to play in the first half. Samuels pulls up. The floater. Oh, right at the horn. Count it. Just a 2-point game at half. What a thriller so far here in Los Angeles.
Malia Samuels is a player who is growing into her role, has not always been a big-time scorer, but she has come out and excellent in setting the tone here for USC, how she's been able to put up some points.
The call on the floor is a successful basket by number 10 for USC. The play is under review.
Sure looked like it was released in time.
Yeah,
pretty clear as day there.
Yeah.
After review, the call has been confirmed.
She's been efficient, but overall I think the more and more that she gets comfortable within this program and where she's going to get her shots from, you're going to continue to see that productivity go up.
And we did not say Jazzy Davidson's name a whole lot in the first half. Just 2 points, as many fouls. In fact, very early foul trouble for the top recruit in the nation. The side of the backboard. This falls to the hands of Edwards. And Davidson picks it off with those long arms on the other end.
Her jump.
In the corner, a 3, no good. Samuels, who had 6 in the first half. Davidson, too strong. Back iron. Ahead, Latson with the right hand.
That's a strong take. And I'm curious to see, too, Latson getting going a little bit more. I think we have talked about the fact she led the country in scoring last year at Florida State, but finding her balance between when she's going to be aggressive for her own and also really fitting into the dynamic of the South Carolina offense and facilitating.
Latson into the paint. Follows the miss.
Good take, staying with the play. And because of her forcefulness and that aggressiveness on the drive, she got her 2 defenders underneath the basket. Doesn't get the first attempt to go, but she's right there for the follow-up because of it.
Samuels had 6 in the first half, including that little floater at the horn. Kennedy Smith. Oh, what a nice finish.
What a tough basket.
Long outlet pass ahead, and Edwards is in double figures.
So I imagine Dawn Staley, amongst a handful of things she told her team at halftime, is get out and go. We got to run. We got to push. There wasn't a lot of that. You saw it in that play, in that possession. She wants this team to run.
Now offensive foul will send it the other way.
Tanaya Latson, transfer from Florida State, led the country in scoring last year, and she does a great job just showcasing her ability to leak out, attacks the basket, doesn't get the first to go, gets the finish, and it's going to be interesting to see. You see those numbers and what was expected of her, the type of shot she was getting. She comes here to South Carolina. It is just a different complement of what the roster looks like and what's being asked of her, and she's going to continue to grow, evolve her game in a really complete way, I believe, this season.
Latson swatted away. Kennedy Smith, known so much for her defense, and you can see why right there.
Kennedy Smith coming strong, 6'1" sophomore, tracking that the whole time. She's got size, she's got strength, and she's got great instincts.
Too high off the glass from Edwards, and she's fouled. She'll shoot two. That's the third on Iwuchukwu.
It's going to be really important for USC right now in this moment in how they potentially settle this rhythm and this momentum that South Carolina has come out of the halftime locker room with. North Carolina is 3-0 so far this season, but that game against Clemson that they played, it was really tight until they got to the fourth quarter, and then it was locked down on the defensive end. But a big part was the adjustments, the attention to detail, the focus that they brought in that second half.
They held Clemson to just 2 points, and both those points coming from the free throw line. Edwards steals this. What a game she's having. Meanwhile, Davidson, although she got her hand on it, steps out of bounds. It was a pretty remarkable defensive performance in that fourth quarter for Don Staley's team. They allowed just 2 points. Clemson went 0 for 17 from the floor.
That is tough. And that was a big part of it. Give Clemson some credit because it was a solid game throughout and through the third quarter, but in that fourth quarter, it was just a tenacity by the Gamecocks and how they were so connected.
Edwards, the runner.
That's a strong move by Edwards. Surveyed the floor, patience, realized everyone was spread out.
They get it back. Raven Johnson tries to put it back a couple of times, and the third time is the charm. 10-point lead now for the number 2 team of the country. And the South Carolina fans making some noise here in Los Angeles. Smith taking out a code, and she sends it away. Davidson gets her hands on another. Ahead to Smith. A coat is there, but doesn't contest.
That's an excellent play by Jazzy Davidson. She's got the length and the arms, and there's about to be another break here for South Carolina.
Latson pulls up, deep free throw. She's got 8 on the night, has averaged 16 so far early this year. This is Yakai Milton on the floor now for the Trojans. She's fouled down by the block.
South Carolina generates so much offense off of their defense, and you see it right here. The full court pressure, Raven Johnson face guarding, and Tanaya Latson coming through with the steal. The finish again by Johnson. Big old hand slap after they're excited. There feels like a different verve here for the Gamecocks here starting this third quarter.
Davidson off the glass with some authority. Ahead, they find Latson. Pass to Johnson. Bottoms, first time tonight.
Early offense, quick on the push and the advancement, open things up.
And some contact underneath. (47-36). South Carolina has come out of the half. They've won it all a couple of times. An undefeated season in that stretch as well. Don Staley, the Hall of Famer.
The program speaks for itself. The accolades of Dawn Staley, and I think the fun part too, you see Aaliyah Boston coming back so often. The great Asia Wilson back at these games. Just the connectivity and relationships that she maintains with her players. You feel the love that is built and the pride that has been in the program.
And they get a shot designed there for Jazzy Davidson. Just 2 points in the first half, 4 now since halftime. Entry pass is off the mark.
In between that basket by Jazzy Davidson, the timeout, things for USC, you imagine you want to settle things down a little bit and get back, we talked about it, to more of the tempo they want to play at and turning South Carolina into a little bit of a half-court team as opposed to how they've been able to get out here and run.
Smith misses the pull-up. Here comes Raven Johnson. That's deflected. Davidson pushing. Jazzy Davidson gets it up and count and one. The finish at the rim from Kara Dunn.
What timing. On the push, starts on some great defense, good hands there by Jones, and then Jazzy Davidson just waits until the final minute until Johnson steps on over. That's a beautiful lefty hook pass. Being a lefty herself, bench is loving it. We've mentioned Kara Dunn coming off. It's a really solid start here to the season for USC.
Dunn converts the three-point play. She's in double figures. Now just a 6-point game. Tessa Johnson off the screen, feeds the post. Edwards contested, rattles it in. What a game she's having. 14 now, a game high.
An excellent deep position where she got herself the good entry pass. That's a huge part of it, doing the work before the catch.
Davidson turns it over. McKeer. Tessa Johnson hits her second triple.
Watch out if she starts heating up. You know Dawn Staley wants her taking more shots, getting more looks, being aggressive, trying to hunt those three-point shots because of how efficient she can be.
South Carolina's made its last 5 shots. Done. Almost throws it away. And a turnover. Milton couldn't hold on to it.
South Carolina trying to build up this lead here in the third quarter, and Tessa Johnson entry feed to Joyce Edwards, who continues to work with her basket, back to the basket on the inside, outside. Tessa Johnson with another
one. Well, both these programs have had just some absolute stars. 4 South Carolina and Southern California players had won the National League Player of the Year. For the women of Troy, Cheryl Miller was the first 3-time winner. And then, of course, Lisa Leslie winning in '94. Aja Wilson in 2018. Aaliyah Boston in the building tonight in 2022. Both winning the National League Player of the Year. First-round picks. And the most recent to join that group on the bench, Juju Watkins, who unfortunately is out for the year with ACL surgery and was suffered in last year's NCAA tournament. She has said that she is planning on coming back and playing next year for USC.
You've already seen it. She's had such extraordinary moments here for this USC program and how she's helped reignite the program. But you see her, it's been fun to watch her just on the bench, talking to teammates, what she's done, and just getting a different human perspective of her enthusiasm that she has still brought being around this team. Such a special, not only special player, but a special individual in person.
Another block that time from Kennedy Smith. Trojans have it. Jones quickly pushes it across. Jones tried to go to the spin cycle, lost it, but recovered by Smith. Foul. That's the second on Edwards.
We're talking a lot about Juju Watkins, the leadership that she has brought, and you see it all the time. Look at her here with her freshman Jazzy Davidson and how she's been coaching her up, talking to her, helping her through this. I mean, that's invaluable to think about, having a player and a person as a teammate like Juju Watkins to be able to walk you through that, talk you through that. There's so many aspects of the game, things that she sees. And so for the expectation and potential of talent that Jazzy Davidson brings to the table, is really, really special. But you see her engagement all the time. Even think about, we watched the NC State, the finish, the close, the fourth quarter, and just how she really was so joyous on the bench for her teammates. And it's just such a special thing to see.
Well, the comparisons between those two are so obvious in terms of the expectation, the accolades that they both came to the college game with. So what a phenomenal resource for Davidson. Under 3 minutes to play in the third quarter. It's a wide open baseline two. Laxon misses. Offensive board, Edwards. And he's approaching a double-double tonight. Johnson with the shot clock under 10. Travel. Far too many of those for South Carolina tonight.
Which there's, it's the balance of, there's been far too many travels, some turnover and stuff, but also they're coming up with so many second chance opportunities. They come up empty on that play, but it's something that USC needs to help shore up.
A Coat with the rejection. Edwards ahead. She'll go to the line for two. Frustrated she didn't finish.
Rim runner, though, how she gets out in the quick push. Once again, another block for South Carolina. They have been so tough with their length, and you see right there, there's not a whole lot that Malia Samuels can do trying to get in front of Edwards. She's got two around her. She's just so strong and so fast in her explosiveness getting to the basket.
And that's 7 blocks for South Carolina.
I mentioned a bunch. They're averaging 9 per game already. Small sample size again, the early part of the season, but it's a huge aspect of why they're so tough defensively.
Davidson spins, gives it up. A tough angle underneath the rim. Intercepted. McKeer, the freshman, crosses over and finishes. Wow.
Defense to offense, smothering and arms everywhere by South Carolina.
Biggest lead of the game so far for South Carolina. Dunn slipped. Long outlet to Laxon, and it's just thrown away.
Oh, we're seeing South Carolina covering so much ground. Look, the swarm in the bodies, the arms, and then McKeer on the push. This is a smooth finish. That's really tough because Kennedy Smith's in front of her. She's trying to pick that, and McKeer just tucks that at the end. Strong with the finish. She has been impressive in her freshman year. They got McKeer. She had played at Montverde Academy, of course. A lot of time spent, too, as she represented Team Canada this summer. And for Dawn Staley, too, didn't really have the entirety of her group together to really start implementing things till August because everyone did have so many different responsibilities.
A backdoor look. That was a good find there from Smith. Davidson couldn't hold on. It's out of bounds. Turnover.
And this feels like an important, it's just a minute and a half closing out the quarter, but how you do it and where the momentum sits heading into the fourth, I think will be significant for both of these teams.
Johnson into the paint. Johnson gets it back. Under a minute to play in the third quarter. Laxon, 3 sets. Under 10 to shoot now. Contested 2, and Davidson with the rebound. 6 points so far tonight for Jazzy Davidson. Trying to hunt. Can't finish. The putback. Chukwu, her first points of the second half, 7 tonight. Ten-point game in the final seconds of the third quarter. Tessa Johnson backs it out, calls for the screen. Under 10 seconds. And this is going the other way. It's an offensive foul.
Take a look at this. See the frustration in Dawn Staley's face, and a little bit of a hip. You see the push and the movement on it. That's a nice job by Kennedy Smith fighting over that screen to force the foul.
It's the first on Dowda. Under 5 seconds to play in the quarter. Doesn't fall this time for Malia Samuels like it did to end the second. 10-point game as we go to the fourth quarter here in Los Angeles. The battle for the real SC, Southern Cal and South Carolina. Top 10 matchup from Los Angeles.
But you got to get it to the second side. You got to shift them, rotate them enough where you find those seams, find those holes, because we see it with the blocks, with the steals. You got to make sure that you create that type of space to get off quality looks.
Edwards on top of the key, feeds a coat. And a jump ball. This will be USC ball. Now, if you're the Trojans, you're down by 10, under 10 minutes to play. What has to happen for USC?
Well, it starts with just getting those quality looks. This is a USC team that was down when they were playing at NC State. So they're comfortable in understanding that they can still come back, but they've not gotten off the type of looks that they want. And because of it, Carolina has gotten out and run. And that's been a big part of turning this defense into offense.
That's a nice shot from Kennedy Smith. She's really had a strong second half, double digits now tonight.
She has. And a quality look there. So what do you get to do? You get to get back, set in your half-court defense, force South Carolina to run their half-court offense where they haven't been quite as effective.
Tessa Johnson just races to the rim and finishes.
Every time I say that, everyone's scoring a bucket, but that's a big part of it, and just chipping away, understanding that you still have most of an entire quarter, but it's got to start with taking care of the basketball in one possession and out. South Carolina has gotten way too many second-chance opportunities, even when they haven't capitalized on them. Laura Williams on the miss there. First year on the floor for her, back from a redshirt year last year because of injury. Latson gets past Davidson, but then is greeted right there by the rim by Williams, who knocks it away. Williams is coming in, giving some nice time, some good minutes, and you see it in her ability to showcase that athleticism and length here on the defensive side.
Johnson, a kick pass into the corner. Raven Johnson buries.
That's a tough shot. Raven Johnson has been locked and loaded from three here at the start of the season.
Another bucket from Kennedy Smith. And she had 2 points in the first half, has had 10 since the break.
And she's not shot the ball that efficiently to start the season. We know so much of her strength is on that defensive side. She's found nice pockets there in the middle of the floor to get some to go through.
They feed Edwards, who's had a monster night. Tries to give it to a Cope, but can't hold on a turnover.
No, who else has had a strong night is Tessa Johnson, doing a little bit of everything. Look at this drive. Smooth continuing to probe her way and read the defense, and this time you got a player step up and then finding her teammate Raven Johnson in the corner. She's got such a poise and a patience about her. She doesn't get sped up. She gets to the spots on the floor where she knows she can be effective. And she does a really nice job of just continuing to read what the defense gives.
Davidson off the screen. Dunn hunts the baseline and turned away. 5 seconds on the shot clock now. Jones hits the deck hard. Just got it off in time. Never hit the rim. Shot clock violation. You know what Lindsey Gottlieb's talking about. That was pretty vicious underneath the rim.
Well, you see, yeah, there's a good amount of body and just getting in the way. I know London Jones was on the drive, but diverts her path that she was going down on that drive.
Latson reverses directions and loses her footing and turns it over. 10-point game with just over 7 minutes to play. Davidson with just 6 points tonight. Jones lost it, will stay on this end. Now somebody's got to get set to inbounds the ball. And there's Kara Dunn. Into the hands of Davidson with 5 on the shot clock now. A wide open look for Dunn. We were talking earlier in the first half about how the points in the paint were pretty even. South Carolina has pulled ahead, however, a 10-point advantage down low with their greater size, as Latson has a pretty shot to get into double figures. Davidson squares up for 3. Dakota's had a monster night on the boards. It doesn't make it 13 now rebounds. And Don Staley wants a timeout with just over 6 to play. Number 2 team of the country is looking a lot like it right now. 61-49. South Carolina leading Southern Cal.
USC in many ways and getting inside. First look right here. I mean, just Latson working her way inside. Can't get it to go. She stays with the play. A lot of second chance opportunities. Even off this possession. Yeah, Joyce Edwards gets the basket, but look at Medina Coate just working on the inside once again on the run, staying with the play. You're seeing everyone get in on that, and there's just a tenacity to attack the glass. They've been attacking defensively, especially in this second half, and this is part of what they do, though. I mean, you said it earlier before we went to break. There's a reason why they're the number 2 team in the country, and they're new coming together. Some new faces. They're gelling. They're getting accustomed to what's being asked of them by Dawn Staley. So there is even so much more room and upside as they continue to get comfortable with one another on the floor.
Oh, this was just a 2-point game at halftime, but South Carolina has really pulled ahead in the second half as that ball is thrown away from Tessa Johnson. Under 6 to play. That is last touch by the Gamecocks and will stay on this end. That was last touch by Raven Johnson. Almost picked off going the other way.
And we're talking a lot about South Carolina, and they've done a tremendous job, the size, but even with USC, yes, Juju Watkins not playing this season, but think about the loss of Kiki Iriafen and what she's obviously great season in the WNBA, all-star with the Mystics this last year, but what an important piece she was last year. Rhea Marshall, they had substantial players that now trying to figure out how to fill the gaps and what that looks like, and not only with personnel, but also the style of play, especially against some of the matchups, and that's going to be a work in progress here for this team too, with so many new faces.
Edwards hits the deck hard after that gets knocked away. Davidson, she loses it. A Coate gets her hand in there. Southern Cal ball, 5 minutes to play. Kennedy Smith checks back in. She's had a fantastic second half. She's in it for 12 points and has been very good defensively as always. And a foul on Tessa Johnson. That's her second. head fake there by Jones. Launches the three. Pulled down to Iwuchukwu. And she cannot get it to fall through. South Carolina ball.
That was a good rebound by Iwuchukwu. Working the position, get an opportunity, just did all the hard work, can't get it to go at the end.
Southern Cal just 1 for 12 from distance. It felt like they really needed to be able to knock down some threes tonight.
Yeah, and we talked about that going in. That is an important component, and it's easy to say, yeah, hit some three-point shots, it'll help you, but really against the South Carolina team, how they play in trying to open things up. And with that type of size, it becomes even more critical.
Latson with under 5 to shoot. She takes it all the way to the rack. A coat lost it, and there's a foul on the floor. That's the first on Dunn. Johnson to inbounds. Almost throws it away.
I thought it was coming to us. Oh, my hands ready.
Johnson trying to direct some traffic as the shot clock dwindles under 10. Now under 5 to shoot for Edwards. Edwards too high off the glass. Offensive rebound to Coates. Raven Johnson up and under.
And there you go. You're swarming a Coat. She gets a tough rebound, but has got bodies around her, and Johnson comes through for the help.
You knew a Coat would be a factor. 6'6" senior out of Kenya. 14 rebounds tonight. Johnson has 10. Edwards has 9. It's the second time at least London Jones has hit the floor hard.
Talked a lot about it. Here's Raven Johnson coming through for another opportunity inside position. And I think too with South Carolina, that's a part of it. They've got such a good awareness of when to get back, when they need to get back, but they flood the offensive glass, and it's really hard to try and keep them off.
Davidson gets the easy look right there at the rim. 8 points tonight for Jazzy Davidson. Helped with just 2 in the first half. Got into immediate foul trouble tonight. That was a major factor in the first half of tonight's game. Tessa Johnson right to the rim and finishes. You know, for a really quiet first half for Tessa Johnson, she did not make a shot from the floor. She's got 14 now on the night, including a couple of triples. And it's a double-double officially for Edwards tonight, and an easy bunny right there at the rim. Now South Carolina really pulling away with under 3 to play. The number 2 team of the country leading 67-51.
Are like video game numbers. She is such a special individual, but 16 steals?
Yeah, it's not often where 44 points is not the lead.
You know, the talent is plentiful around the country.
Air ball from Dunn.
And you even see, you've seen the top 10, but really just there are so many teams that have got such solid groups, solid players. And I think, too, sometimes with the movement in the league, it'll take time as teams get into the season, really start to gel and what that looks like.
Under 10 to shoot now for Edwards, who lost a shoe. We got a shoe on the floor. And Edwards with one shoe. Oh, maybe that's why she missed. Well, that'd have been something. And she's running down there. Doesn't have to stop quickly.
This always scares me. I always feel like, just be careful, please, Joyce.
She gets ticketed for the foul there, and will catch the shoe from Don Staley. Here we go.
Where's it coming off? Whoop. You got a smile on her face. Yes, she almost finished off this play. This was quite a highlight.
Did you ever lose a shoe?
I don't think so. I always felt like I had my laces and my shoes tied so tight. It always really surprises me when people lose a shoe. I guess I didn't tape my ankles or anything though, so maybe that's why I felt like I was using the laces.
Too strong on a three from London Jones. Samuels gives it up, and a foul at the rim. Nora Williams, and for a moment there, a pretty clean look. Well, this is pretty cool. Candace Parker is in the house, former player of the year at Tennessee, three-time WNBA champion. And this is awesome. She's here in the building taking in this top 10 matchup.
With her daughter, she also has her jersey hanging in the rafters here at Crypto.com Arena.
She looked like she had a pretty good
Los
seat.
Angeles Sparks, yeah. She's royalty here in this building, but pretty much wherever she goes. Great to see her here with her family. There you go. You see jersey retired this season. Of course, above it, the great Lisa Leslie, as we talked about, not only legend of Los Angeles and of basketball, but also of USC.
Well, talking to both these coaches today at Shoot Around, the message was pretty similar from both sides, and that is so early in the season, so many new players and even some returning players in new roles, and both these programs trying to kind of find their way early on tonight, early on this season. What have you made of where these two teams are now after tonight's game? Because this is now under 90 seconds away from what will turn out to be, in all likelihood, a fairly convincing win for the number 2 team in the country.
Convincing win for South Carolina, and I think it bodes well to just the belief of just how talented and successful and good they could be this year. But I also don't think the score necessarily is indicative of how good USC can be and what they are, what they can become. They've got a lot of young players, the growth and the youth of these new faces. But I think for both teams, you know, just coming out, I know there's a lot of gaps to fill, especially on the side of the Trojans, but for the Gamecocks, I mean, Dawn Staley should be, as she always is, even more excited about what's to come. She always schedules a really, really tough non-conference schedule. Big reason why they're the elite of the elite, because they go up against the best, and you see it here playing number 8 USC, but you know, over Thanksgiving, you play Duke, opportunity to play UCLA or Texas, Louisville coming up on the slate. That's just in this month. And so that's part of the test, and that's part of how these teams come together, why they've found so much success, because they're constantly able to measure themselves of the areas that they need to continue to improve. But they're a really high-level group, and you can see it just in how they continue to improve. It felt like even over the course of this game, some of those self-adjustment things of the ways in which they can attack and try and exploit this Southern Cal team with some of their strengths.
Now, Lindsay Gottlieb has made it very clear she wants to take this USC program and have it be the premier program in the nation. What South Carolina has been, what UConn has been as well. And no easy schedule for the women of Troy coming up either. Elite 8 appearances each of the last 2 years for USC, and they have rebuilt this brand here nationally, and they are back to prominence, but trying to get to that next level where South Carolina has lived at for really so long now at this point. 5 to shoot, and Edwards caps off what has been a just dynamite night. 17 points and 10 boards. Now the South Carolina faithful that have made the journey here to Los Angeles, they are chanting USC as they rise to their feet beyond the South Carolina bench, as that's going to do it tonight. 69-52, the number 2 team in the country remains unbeaten early on.
They were dominant defensively. They got their rhythm offensively, and you're seeing the compliments of a team that has a lot of weapons and a lot of optimism about what can come this season.
These two teams will meet up again next year. 69-52, South Carolina takes down Southern California here from the heart of Los Angeles. For Sarah Kustok and our entire Fox Sports crew, I'm Aaron Goldsmith. So glad you could join us for this top 10 matchup this weekend. That's all for tonight from inside Crypto.com Arena.